But because I couldn't scroll into lives anymore and normalize this behavior and the impact it had on me and my family, I couldn't, and I won't. And so if that means now I become the brunt of some public slanderous campaigns, then let it be. Because I am a truth advocate and I will carry the burden of truth. And if that is the burden that comes with speaking truth, then let the burden come. Because somebody's got to carry it, right? So I will carry it. But I will no longer normalize psychological behavior like that and the harm that it does. And my reactive behavior was absolutely reactive. I said some horrid things in those moments when I was being tormented, when I was being played with, and when I was being psychologically tormented. I did. I had reactive behavior and they were counting on it. That's what they needed, was my reaction to paint a picture. So that's what happened. That's what happened. Many of them, Scarlett, many of them never left. Many of them never left. I left those spaces because they occupy them. They occupy them. Many of them never left. Only the ones that you see publicly, but many of them never left. They operated behind the scenes. Only one person ever showed me the text message of one of the things that said, and it was enough. It was enough. It was so vile what was spoken about me. And as I said, that other creator who I didn't even know who that was, who threatened to curb stomp me, she knew very well who I was. There was a lot. There was going to these groups in the left whom put out content and tried to give them this story that was false about me. And so violating in so many ways. It broke my trust in such an... I'm going to be healing those levels of trust for a very, very long time. But I refuse to let this be where I stay now. I refuse for my heart to become hard and calloused. I refuse. I will forgive them one day. And I forgive me for the ways I didn't know how to handle that or walk through it. And I'm sorry for those who went through things and tried to come to me. And I didn't know how to support you because I wanted to give people a chance. And I didn't know what was true, whose story was true. And over the years, I've sat among some things and some behaviors that I didn't call out. And this is a big lesson for me, being on the other side of this extreme abuse and just how silencing it is. How silencing it is. And it's toxic, and you know, it's discouraging on a whole other level, because you go, you know, we're fighting to change something. Because some of us, you know, thank you to everybody who stood up in the ways you did, but some of us never stopped standing. Some of us continued to hold the line. Some of us are still doing that every day. Every day, we never stopped researching, educating, going and speaking, putting out the content, delivering it, going to meetings, organizing things. None of us never stopped and still do it every day. And I appreciate those people for what they've done. But I can't any longer keep my mouth shut about the dynamics, because what are we fighting for? If we bring about real change in our communities and in our world, what are we fighting for if this is the example of how we're going to rebuild our communities? Right, Lisa? That's what I'm saying. It was discouraging on a whole other level to go, I've sacrificed everything, as many of you have. My reputation, my name, availability to find work here, my friend groups, my families, everything for what I spoke into those microphones and everywhere. And potentially my freedom one day if things continue along this path. Okay? And that's fine. I did what I did because it was the right thing to do. But imagine if we bring about the change that we're all truly fighting for in the world. Then what are we going to rebuild with? What are we changing to? Because all these people who are screaming about their rights were just screaming for themselves because they don't seem to know how to fight for other people. They don't know how to fight for other people and their rights. And it shows the selfish motivation in that the line stopped being held when there was no glory in it for them anymore. And how they became the perpetrators and the liars and the people who put these behaviors of extreme psychological and emotional abuse upon people in the community. I'm talking right now about the abuse that I endured and went through and that I had to keep silent about. And the way that this abuse was perpetrated on me. And how it was normalized, minimized. And we're not just talking about toxic TikTok behavior. We're talking about perpetrators of extreme forms of abuse. Extreme forms of abuse. And how they were enacted. We've had people who have planted hate crimes in the freedom movement on purpose. And then they tormented and drove people to psychological breaks. That's facts. That's facts. Or how about when somebody didn't like somebody's attitude, so they sexualized them, demoralized them, and publicly humiliated women? How about that? And we normalized that and we said that was okay. How about that? I am now going to become the recipient of another public attack for speaking up. Because the abuse I went through was supposed to make me shut up. It was a threat. It was a threat. But I can't keep my mouth shut anymore because that's a lie. And I can't sit among these people anymore who perpetrated these extreme forms of abuse and take down names of people and all of that. I cannot be a part of that anymore. Because this isn't just toxicity. It's not just poor behavior. I got told yesterday that somebody almost took their life because of some of this going on. And I know somebody who, they did have a break. They did have a psychological break. And what they did is unspeakable. But what was done to them, was predator behavior. And it's the psychological behavior I'm also speaking of. And this happened from multiple groups. And it all happened at once. It was very, very tactical. Very tactical when I was the recipient of it. And this all happened when my brother died of an overdose. And a vulnerable time. And for that to have happened, and so many of you to know what happened,